Good evening, Third New Hope family and our streaming guests. Welcome to our 5th episode. That's right, May 2023 episode of Faith and Finance Fridays. We are excited again that you are joining us, and we are excited for what God is doing. But before we do anything, before I introduce our guest and we get to the question and answers, I'm going to start us off with prayer. Let's go to God in prayer. God, we thank you again for what you're doing in our lives. We thank you for these Faith and Finance Fridays that has already blessed so many. We ask, God, that you continue to allow us to be transparent, but allow us to grow and to be transformed even with our finances, because we know we are going up in 2023. So continue to be with us, and we'll be careful to give you the praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name, amen. So family, again, it's our 5th month of Faith and Finance Fridays. And again, we want to thank Pastor Q for allowing us to have this setting and his vision for us to grow with our finances in 2023. So enough of me talking. Today, as I promised, I told y'all we are going to have somebody from a bank. So today we have our very own brother Curtis Faulkner, who is the branch manager of Citizens Bank. I'm going to let him and hopefully he'll be honest and talk about some of the achievements he's done in his almost 20 years of banking. But I'm going to give him an introduction. I'll let him know where he's going to tell you all where he works, all the positions he's had, the awards, and how to contact him. So Curtis, is on you, man.
Hello all, I'm Curtis Faulkner. Born and raised right here in Detroit, Michigan. Went to Cooley High School.
Cooley.
So let's go, Cooley.
Cooley High.
As he said, I got over 18 years of experience at Citizens Bank. I've started out as a teller. We called it Universal Banker. That's kind of like where we did both teller side and open up accounts on the banking side. Within 3 years, I got promoted to an assistant branch manager. Within another 3 years, branch manager. From there, I went to Royal Oak, where I was the manager there. And then I went over to 14 and Mound, branch manager there for a couple years. And then I came back home to Detroit in the New Center area. So I was the branch manager there for about 5 years. And then I just recently got promoted over to the Ferndale branch, where I currently work at 9 Mile and Woodward. So I'm the branch manager there. I've been there for about 4 years now. So that's currently where I'm at. It's been a long journey, 18 plus years, and I've definitely, I hit bottom where I struggled a little bit trying to, get my branches to the top. But now I got my branches rolling, and we're going and definitely succeeding. This year I was named the 2023 Credo Champion. Credo Champion is basically where I do a lot of work with the community, doing financial literacy, giving back to Forgotten Harvest, Gleaners, things of that sort. Some of you may have seen me in a Gleaners commercial before, so that's just a little bit about myself.
Yeah, see, I told y'all we was going to have somebody from a bank. We got a good brother here. I'm glad he talked about this award. I was about to put him on blast because I saw it. I knew he had won something. I think you get a trip or something?
Yes, yeah. They sent me out to Boston. We have part of Gillette Stadium. We got to see the Super Bowl rings, things of that sort, and that's where they presented the awards at.
Oh, man.
I actually got to wear the Super Bowl rings, too.
Okay. And those of you who don't know, Jeanette, that's them Patriots, right?
That's correct.
They got how many? 7? About 7 rings?
I think it was 7 rings, yeah.
7 rings like that. Okay, so brother Curtis, before we get into questions, how do they reach you if somebody was interested in reaching you as Citizens?
So, again, I'm at the Ferndale office, 9 Mile and Woodward, just north of 9 Mile. My contact number is 248-545-3300. Again, that's 248-545-3300. You can also reach me via email, curtis.faulkner, that's F as in Frank, A-U, L as in Larry, K as in Kite, N as in Nancy, E-R, at citizensbank.com.
Awesome. For those who may not have had a pencil and paper, first of all, you can always review this later on our Facebook page, Third New Hope, but you also, at the end of this segment, I'll have him repeat it hopefully you'll have a pen and paper right there so you can write his information down. But what we're about to do is we're about to start the question and answers, because when it comes to banks, a lot of us have questions, and we don't know a lot of information, I think, that is very pertinent in us when we deal with our finances and our money. So, Curtis, first question. Sound easy, but we need to know, what is the difference between a bank and a credit union? Please tell us.
So basically, a credit union is nonprofit. A bank is for-profit. So meaning that banks gonna charge you more fees. Are there ways to avoid those fees? Of course, but quite naturally, a bank is gonna charge you more fees. Credit unions don't charge as much fees, but they kind of do the same thing at the same time. They both offer checking, savings accounts, things of that sort. The major difference that most people go to a credit union for is like car loans. I know when I was buying my car, and I wanted to get out the rate that I had from the dealership, I went to the credit union and said, hey, can you take this car and give me a better rate on it? And yes, I was able to do that. But some credit unions you have to pay a fee to be a member of. So it's like a yearly fee of $10 or something like that. So that's the major difference of a credit union. Again, they don't charge you as many fees, but some of them you do have to pay a fee to be a member of that particular credit union.
Excellent. Now I got a question. I'm going to piggyback off that because you said something. You said you went to the credit union like for car loans. Is it easier maybe to get a loan, particularly a car loan from a credit union? And is that because one is nonprofit and one is profit? Can
Correct.
you elaborate?
Yeah. So credit unions, they're a little bit more lenient when it comes to lending than banks. Because banks, they kind of stick by the rules. So credit score typically has to be anywhere around 660 and higher for 660 and higher for certain loans. We do have some smaller loans that you can have a lower credit score for, but the average credit score has to be around 660 or higher. Where the credit union, they're a little bit more lenient, so their scores don't necessarily have to be that high to get a good car rate or a loan from them.
Okay. All right. And then let me backtrack. And the primary reason again is just I'm learning something now is because one's nonprofit and one is for profit.
Correct.
And which is the credit union nonprofit, banks for profit.
Absolutely.
Great. Second question. What are the benefits of having a bank account? What are some of the benefits of just having a bank account? Because, and I say that because I'm seeing a lot of people don't have bank accounts with Cash App and what is the other, Zelle? Well, can you have Zelle without a bank account?
You can.
Zelle.
Yeah.
And
but most banks, well, Zelle is offered by the bank. So almost every major bank has Zelle through their app.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know at least with Cash App, you find a lot of people don't have bank accounts. So what are some of the benefits of having a bank account?
I'm so glad you asked that question because we work so hard for our money, but yet we pay Cash App to get our money right away. We pay a percentage, or we go to a liquor store to cash a check and we got to pay them a percentage. We already paying the federal government a percentage of our money. Why do we want to pay someone else to get our money right away, to cash a check, things of that sort? So I know a lot of times we've been raised by our parents to keep our money in our mattress at home, things of that sort. But it's very important to have a bank account because your money is safe. You know, if you have a house fire, that money is gone. You know, God forbid, but if you get robbed, that money is gone. Yes, if you get robbed and you have a debit card, you can get that money back. All you got to do is go to the bank and file a claim. So you're going to get that back. But if you got cash on you, you can't get that back. So the most important reason is safety. Okay. The bank gives you a safety net to have your money there. We're watching it. It's protected. It's insured. So even if a bank goes under, I know we're in a time where, you know, a lot of people are scared because banks are crashing. Certain banks are crashing. But your money is insured up into a certain dollar amount, which is $250,000. There are ways to actually get insured more than that, which we won't go into today, but there are certain ways that you can actually be insured more than $250,000. So safety is the most important reason why you should have a bank account.
Great. I was about to mess with you, say we won't go into that. I was about to say, so you trying to say we don't have people more than 250,000?
We do, absolutely.
I just was messing with you though, man. They're messing with you. Okay, so we understand safety is the primary reason for having a bank account. Mm-hmm. So Here's another one that
Before you move on, let me add on to that. So I did say safety, but some other reasons would be if you plan on buying a home, mortgage companies want to see a track of your money. You can't bring them cash and be like, okay, here's a cash and I want to buy this home for $100,000. There's no track record for that. So mortgage companies want to see where's this money coming from. So if you put it in a bank account, we can see it came from a direct deposit. It came from Social Security. It came from a pension, things of that sort. So if you want to buy large, then you need to have a bank account so that way it can be tracked.
and I'm a witness to that. I remember when we bought our first house. Well, they were watching our bank account. They went back like 6 months or something like that.
They want to know where
to
every
make
penny
sure
came
every
from.
penny came from. So yeah, that's some great information. Another one. Here's a good one. Yeah, this one I was waiting for your answer for this one. Can having a bank account affect your credit score?
So this has been a long time myth of a bank account actually affects your credit score. Now, the only way that there is one way that it can affect your credit score, but to answer the question, no, it can't affect your credit score just by having a bank account. Now, to answer my question is the only way that it can affect your credit score is if you happen to go negative and then you don't pay that balance back. So if you don't pay that balance back, then of course it's going to go to a creditor and go on your credit score. So that's the only time that a bank account can actually affect your credit, is by letting it go negative, not paying that balance, and then it gets sent off to a creditor. But just by having a regular bank account, you're using it every day, your everyday usage, even if you happen to go negative, as long as you pay it, it still does not get reported to your actual credit report.
Oh, great. Now let me ask another question to follow up. You said as long as you pay it back. What is the typical period that you have to pay it back?
So every bank is different, of course. At our bank, we typically give you 60 days or so before we actually charge the account off. Once we charge the account off, then yes, that's when it goes to collections. And then depending on if you pay it right away or not, we may send it to a collection agency, or we may sell the debt to a collection agency, and then that's when it gets reported to your credit. So typically within 60 days before it affects your credit.
Got another one, follow up to this one. We're not even getting to this one yet. But what I have on this iPad, but you said something, so 60 days. Say if they don't pay it back.
Okay.
Does that close their bank account? Will that affect them getting a bank account again at your bank and or any other banks in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So if you don't pay that balance back, then you get reported to what we call check systems. Check system is kind of like a credit report, but on the bank side, to where it will stop you from getting a bank account at another bank. So what'll happen is when you try to go open up an account, that check systems will come up and say, hey, you owe, Citizens Bank some money. Until you pay that off, you won't be able to open up an account. And then some banks, maybe even if you pay it off, still won't open up an account because they consider that like you abused that account, you didn't pay them back. So 9 times out of 10, you may not pay us back. So some banks look at that. So it definitely will affect you if you're trying to open up another account.
Okay, great.
And it does stay on there for quite a while, kind of like a credit report, 7 years or so. So, if you let that account charge off and you don't pay it, just because it was, 10 years ago, don't mean we can't see it.
So, you're the branch manager.
Yes, sir.
Right. So,
yes, sir.
I'm a member of Citizens Bank. Just say I'm a member of Citizens Bank. Mm-hmm. Who makes the major decisions at the bank? So, and are there levels?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, major decisions, of course, come from the very top, okay? Our CEOs, the retail directors, things of that sort. So those are the major decisions. That's where all that comes from. But at the same time, we as colleagues, you as a customer, have opinions that could affect the bank. So say, for example, you have an account that's receiving too many fees for whatever reason. If you didn't like that and we get, 1,000 of our customers complaining about that same thing, they're going to make a change. I don't know if you ever noticed where you may be in a type of account and then a bank may send out a notice saying, hey, we're changing the type of account you're in. That's the reason why. It's because we felt like this account is no longer relevant. So we may change that, and that came across because you gave us feedback, or we as colleagues gave feedback, or the higher ups may have noticed that, hey, this product is not customer friendly. As we know, things in this world is changing and everybody is going towards more customer friendly. So we need products that fit our customers.
Okay. So let me stretch this, and this ties into our next question. I can't get to the CEO. I can't get to the VP or whatever. Who do I need to, besides the teller, so anybody I can try and form a relationship with that may be able to be my ally, since the VP don't know me, or but somebody that may be able to argue on my behalf to the powers that be.
So you said besides the teller, but I actually think that's the best person to go with, because that's the person that's handling all your transactions. So they're going to know you more so than me, unless I deal with you on a regular basis, you know. So they're going to know your history. They're going to know your transactions. So when they come to me and say, okay, this customer is asking, can you release a hold? I'm like, well, what do we know about this person? Why aren't we releasing this hold? When they're going to say, this person comes in here every week, they cash their check every week, it's this amount, this is their history, they go to Walmart, they do this, they do that. So the teller is going to know the most about you because they're looking at your transactions every time you come into the bank. Okay. So teller one is, that's the person you actually want to get to know. Of course, you want to establish a relationship with your banker, the person that may open up your account. You want to have a relationship with them. And then, of course, the branch manager, because, yes, we do make decisions that our tellers or our bankers may or may not can be able to make a decision for.
Okay. Another question that's coming from your answers. Man, you're giving us some good information. So we live in such a rapid transient world. A lot of people don't even go in the banks anymore.
True.
Do you think just because you should make an effort to go into the bank every now and then for the relationships?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a firm believer of convenience. So I love the mobile deposits. I love the ATM. Quite frankly, if I didn't work at a bank, I probably wouldn't go. I'm just being honest. But to have that relationship, you know, if you open up an account and you did it online and you do all your transactions mobily, we don't know who you are. So if you have a problem and you come in, we like, okay, who is this person? Why are they coming in? And things of that sort. So yes, it's good to go in every now and then just to, you know, make the local branch know who you are. So that way, if you do have a problem, we'll feel at ease to handle that situation. Versus you coming in off the street and say, I made an ATM deposit of $1,000. Can you give me a provisional credit? Right. Who is this person? You know, we're not likely to help that person with a provisional credit. Provisional credit means that I'm going to give you money faster than a regular claim.
I'm glad you said that. I was about to ask.
Yeah. So, you know, a claim would take anywhere from 2 weeks to roughly 30 days. Most of the time it don't take that long, but that's the time frame that we have to give. But say if I know for a fact you're my normal customer, you come in and say, hey, Curtis, I made a deposit at the ATM machine. I did it for $1,000 and only gave me credit for $500. I'm gonna go and count my machine. It's $500 over. Okay, I'm gonna make a phone call and say, can we credit this customer account $500 because, you know, we realize it. Now the claim still has to go through,
right? But
they're just gonna give you a credit up front, and then once we realize the claim, go through and it's there, then you'll be all set. Okay.
All right. Man, I hope you all enjoy yourself. Put those questions in the comments. Put the questions in the comments, and we will get back and answer them. Let's see. What's the next one? Okay, I know nothing about. I need to open up a bank account.
Okay.
And I know nothing about banks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me make sure I'm right asking this question. What should we look for when we're choosing a bank?
So this answer is going to be different for everyone because everybody looks for different things. So, for example, me, as I was just stating, I like convenience. I don't really want to go to the bank, so I'm looking for a bank that offers mobile deposit, that's offer an ATM. I need ATMs that's in my area that I can easily get to when I need to go get some money. For someone else, it may be they need branches in the area. So, do you have enough local branches in my area that I can get to? Because I like to go in. I like the presence of a bank. Okay, so convenience is one thing that you want to look for. Fees. That's actually that's the first thing you should look at. Fees. You wanna choose a bank that doesn't charge that many fees, or if they do charge fees, there's ways to waive them.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to make sure that before you open up an account, you understand. That's the one thing I don't really like about opening up account online, because a lot of people don't read when they open up the accounts online, and they open up an account that may be for a wealthier client, and because they don't have the funds for that account, they're getting charged fees for it, and then they come into the bank wondering why they get charged the fees because you opened up the wrong type of account.
Okay.
So you definitely want to read and understand the type of accounts that you're opening them up, or when you're trying to go open up a bank account, because every bank has different accounts and different levels of accounts. So you want to look at this bank, compare their checking account to this bank, and see which one would be more convenient for you.
Okay. All right. Great. So, what did we just talk about? Choosing the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. A lot of people just want to open up a bank account.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
But what are some of the other services? It might even be like different types of bank accounts or anything that you can think of that your banks offer that we may not know about.
So there's a lot of services that the bank may offer that you may not know about. Notary, we do notaries for our customers. You do have to be a customer for that. We do medallion stamps. We give out official bank checks. We do money orders. And the thing about our official checks and money orders, which as opposed to going to Myers or Plate Walmart or something like that, our official checks and money orders, they're backed by the bank, meaning that if you lose them, if they get lost in the mail, you could come to the bank and put a stop payment on it at no cost to you and get another one.
Okay.
So, a lot of people complain about paying the price for an official check or a money order, but that's what you're paying for, that convenience, because, we all know that the mail is running super slow nowadays, and it may get lost in the mail. So if you get a money order from Myers, you can't go back to Myers and say, hey, I got a money order, can I get another one? They're going to tell you no, because it's lost in the mail. So if you come to the bank, you can put a stop payment on that. We can tell if it's been cashed or not, and then issue you another one.
Okay, you said something that maybe the terminology is different. You said official check. Is that the same as a cashier's check?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Official bank check, cashier's check, same thing.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then another thing, I went somewhere the other day. It's funny you say that because it was an apartment building complex.
Okay.
It was work related, and right by the elevator, which was close to the office, they had a big sign that said, "We are no longer taking CVS money orders."
Yeah.
And I was just like, in my mind, I was thinking to myself, what caused that? Where they're not taking any money orders from CVS, but you just explained some things, ain't no telling.
Probably was another
I'm
reason for that. And
sure
I know it,
was.
but
I'm
yeah.
sure it was another reason, but it's just you mentioning that the cashier's checks, official checks, and money orders are backed by the bank.
Correct.
Makes that's a security blanket in itself.
Absolutely.
That
yes.
would
yes.
cause you to have a bank account.
Correct.
Now, we talked briefly about this before we started talking to everybody that's listening right now. But you have, depending on the bank, they have something called either a preferred or private client
Correct.
status at a bank. Explain that to me. How do you qualify, and what are some of the perks?
All right. So you have your basic checking account. I'm gonna talk about my bank because I know my bank, the requirements and things of that. So we have our starter account, which is our student account. Okay, that account is completely free. A child as young as 14 can open up a checking account, get a debit card, utilize the online banking, all the way up until the age of 25. So that's our student account. Okay, that account again is completely free for them. No fees whatsoever. They're not charged at all. It's completely free because it's a student account. Even if you're not in school between that age of 18 to 25, you still qualify as long as you're under the age of 25. After that, we have our one deposit checking. That's kind of like our starter checking account. There's no balance requirement in it, but you do have to make at least one deposit once a month. It can be a direct deposit. It can be you putting in $1. It can be a penny. It's just some type of deposit during your statement cycle to make that account free. Okay. Now, as he was stating, we have some higher up accounts where you got to have higher balances. At our bank, our next tier will be called our Quest. And that's where you either have to have at least $5,000 being deposited into the account monthly, or keep an overall relationship balance. Relationship balance means that between your accounts, so checking, savings, money markets, if you have a certificate of deposit, we call them CDs, IRA. So just between all of your accounts, have a overall balance of 25,000. So that's our Quest account. With that particular account, you get the free checks, so you don't have to ever pay for checks. You get free official bank checks. You get free wire transfers. So if you're a person that does a lot of wires, those are free for you. If you're a person that travel a lot and you like to exchange for foreign currency, that's also free for you. So there's a lot of perks that come with that particular account that you can't get with our one deposit or our student checking. Okay. It also gives you a higher rate of return on our credit card. So our credit card gives you 1.8% back. Because you're a Quest customer, you'll get 1.9% back. And then our highest tier, which is our we call it Premier Wealth, and that's 200,000. That one gives you those same perks that the Quest do, with some additional perks. It gives you better rates on, like say for example, a money market. Gives you, what else does it give you? It gives you 2% on the credit card instead of the 1.9. So just some additional perks, and then you have a dedicated person that deals with your account. So typically you wouldn't come into the bank and talk to me because you have a private person that deals with your banking.
Excellent. That's 200 G.
200, yes.
Okay, but then you got 25,000 is the Quest?
Quest. Either 25,000 or just a monthly deposit of at least 5,000. Yes.
Okay. All right. Did you all hear that? I hope you all heard that, because we need to understand the different types of bank accounts they have so that we can maximize our relationship with the bank. You actually answered about 4 questions in one, man. I had the month. We talked about the monthly fees, opening the bank account, minimum balance. Go ahead.
All right, so let's go back to the monthly fees though, because a lot of people think that bank have hidden fees. So I kind of touch bases on, say for example, that one deposit where you have to make a deposit to waive that fee. Okay, so I like to be honest with my customers, and that's what keeps my customers coming back to me. So outside of that fee, there are 3 additional ways to get a fee on the account, but all which can be waived. Okay. We charge to have statements delivered to you if you're under the age of 65, because we encourage you to utilize the online banking and you can view your statements there. That's a $3 fee. But again, if you sign up for the online banking, you can view 7 years worth of your statements on the online banking, and that's free. So that waives that fee. Okay. ATM fee. Of course, if you use our ATM, it's completely free for you. But if you happen to go to another bank ATM, they're going to charge you roughly $3 or so. we also charge you $3. Okay, so again, I encourage my customers to utilize our ATM machine. But if you just can't make it to our ATM machine, go to a grocery store, and you know how to ask you to get cash back. So if you're looking for a smaller amount, of course, go to the grocery store and get cash back. It doesn't charge you there. So I encourage that. And then, of course, overdraft fees. If you happen to overdraft on your account, then there's going to be a $35 fee per item that clears the account. Now, one thing that I encourage my customers, of course, not to overdraft, but if you have to overdraft, instead of going to Walmart because you need something here, Target, you need something there, and CVS, you need something there, that's 3 fees. Instead of doing that, go to the ATM machine, pull out the amount that you need. So now you're only getting that 1 fee versus getting 3 fees. A lot of people don't understand that. They go and swipe their card, and now you're getting multiple fees instead of going to the ATM, getting the cash, and then go pay for each item, and you're only getting that 1 fee. So I encourage people to do that. Of course, I not overdraft, but if you have to, that's the better way to do it. Also, with our bank, we actually have what we call peace of mind, and that's where we actually give you 24 hours to put that money back in before you charge. Most banks don't do that. So if you overdrafted today, we give you till tomorrow, 10 p.m., to put that money back into the account, and we'll reverse that overdraft fee for you.
Excellent, excellent. I hope you all are learning, because I'm learning. I want to go back to that student account.
Okay.
Because you said I think it's like for 14 to 25. But what I learned, I experienced it myself with one of my sons about not having credit. Mm-hmm. Can you enlighten us? I don't know if you can. Of how do you start that process of having your child establish credit, and can the bank help with that anyway?
So you can, but it's going to start with the parent, of course. Okay. Starting a kid off with credit, the best thing that you can do, and of course you have to have your credit in order, is to add one of your kid to one of your credit cards. That's the best thing to do. And, you know, we as, you know, wasn't taught that when we were brought up. So that's the best thing to do. So I would say, you know, give them a credit card with a smaller limit, so one of your smaller limit cards, and add them to that as a signer. As long as you're using it properly, and what I mean by properly, do you know credit, how to keep it intact, what percentage you should use, and things of all like that? So when I say using it properly, you want to try to stay under 33% utilization of that credit card. Okay, it's okay to, so say if your limit is $1,000, okay, you spend that $1,000, but you want to try to pay it back down to under roughly $300, $330 or so, whatever, so that way it can be reported as good utilization, because that's one of the factors that plays into your credit score. Okay. So keeping it under that 33% mark is the best way to keep your credit score going up, as well as establishing your child's credit.
And you can actually add them, and don't even tell them, and you could be building their credit.
Correct, yeah. So they don't even have to have a card. You can just add them and build it yourself, and then that way, when they get to 18, their credit is established already. They'll be able to get, you know, whatever it is that they need to get to carry on in life.
Okay, I got one more question before, and then after that, I'm going to just let you close it however you want. You talked about, I was thinking about the loans and different things. What's addition? We talked about some things, because I noticed some banks now are getting away from, I'm not going to mention any banks' names, but I know banks that are no longer, for instance, they're not doing home equity. They don't do home equity. They don't do personal loans. Mm-hmm. They don't do, if you're buying a used car, they'll finance you through a dealer, but they won't finance you through a personal loan. So they're getting away from things like that. And I just talked to actually a guy in a bank, and he was saying they may get back to home equities and all that stuff.
Okay.
What's causing that for banks to make those type of decisions?
So we still do home equity loans. So if you need one, come see me. But I
Do you
think
do personal loans?
we don't do personal loans.
Okay.
We stopped that during COVID, and I think the biggest reason for that was when COVID came. Unfortunately, it brought so much fraud
Okay.
with loans, the PPP loans, things of that sort. There was so much fraud that it would almost make a bank go out of business because there's so much fraud. So we lending this amount of money, and we're not getting it back.
Okay.
So they kind of got away from the lending, things of that sort. So I think that's the biggest reason why. And, unfortunately, we are still kind of dealing with it today, even on home equity loans. We've had incurred some fraud with home equity loans, so it's a risk, unfortunately. And, if a bank does so much lending and they're not gaining it back, that's a problem because, again, we're for profit.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why we're kind of getting rid of it, things of that sort.
Excellent, excellent. So, I hope everybody enjoyed this segment. Brother Curtis answered a lot of questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, ask him to give us, everybody out there, his information again, how he can be contacted, and then I'm just going to have him give just a summary statement. Don't have to be long. Anything pertinent that we may have not touched on that you want to either talk about that we haven't, or something you just want to repeat, and then I'll close this out with prayer.
All right. So again, my name is Curtis Faulkner. I'm the branch manager at the Ferndale office at Citizens Bank, 9 Mile and Woodward. I can be reached at 248-545-3300. Again, that's 248-545-3300. You can also email me at curtis.faulkner@citizensbank.com. That's Curtis, C-U-R-T-I-S, Faulkner, F-A-U, L as in Larry, K as in Kite, N as in Nancy, E-R, @citizensbank.com. The one thing that I would just like to sum up is don't be afraid of banks. If you don't know something, come out and ask. There's always a way to get around whatever it is you may be going through in your personal life. We can help you. You just got to come out and ask. So don't be afraid of banks, credit unions, whatever you choose to go to for that's more convenient for you. But we have to start banking because we got to stop spending money with predators, lending predators. We work too hard for the money that we earn. So I hate to see us spend it on other places, check cashing stores, things of that sort, because you think you can't get a bank account. All you got to do is come and ask, and we can help you out.
Excellent. And I just want to close, before we go into prayer, I want to publicly say thank you to Curtis for coming.
Thank you.
Made a phone call. He accommodated me with no problems. But I also want to kind of tell you what kind of guy this is, because I'm just going to be honest. I don't bank at Citizens, but we may be talking in the future. But I had an incident with my bank, and I called Curtis. And it was, he just shot straight to the real. And he gave me the 100% truth, which helped me through that endeavor. And he didn't say, I'm not helping you because you're not at my bank. He helped me because he's just a good brother. So if you have any problems, if you have not established a bank account, go see Curtis. He's a good person to know. And like he said, we have to do better in our means, because that predatory lending is devastating to our community. If you don't know what that is, that's payday loans and like he said, paying all that instant gratification for Cash App. Pay attention to how much fees you paid at the end of your Cash App statement at the year if you use it a lot. You'd be surprised how much money that could have been saved if your money was in a bank. So thank you again for joining, and we will see you in June. June is special, y'all. Get your children and parents together, because June, we're talking about how to start teaching your children about financial literacy and money management, when to start, and I think we're going to give you like 5 foundational principles to begin with. So have your child with you because it's never too early to start. Let's pray. God, we thank you again for everything that you do with and through us. We thank you for this Friday, Faith and Finance Friday. We thank you for Brother Curtis, who has enlightened us and given us additional wisdom when it comes to our banking. Now, God, we ask that you continue to grow us and mature us in our finances. We're going up even in our finances. We thank you. Continue to bless our lead pastor, Pastor Q, for his vision. And we thank you for your vessels who are leading us on this path of financial freedom. We thank you and we bless you. It's in that incredibly strong name, Jesus the Christ, our risen and redeemed Savior. And the people of God said, amen. Everybody be blessed. See you next month.